At this time, there is no evidence to suggest or support that this incident was related to a kidnapping or that this was a suicide.
Okay, from the beginning, not a kidnapping, not suicide. Then, 9 days later, September 30th, we got this update from the sheriff.
There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with. That's what we're seeing at this time. So based on that information, we do not believe that this is a random act of violence. We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and personal.
So there, it seems we're investigating a murder that seemed to be deliberate and personal, right? Now, I want you to take a look on the screen, this report from Habersham Now, who's been covering this case in depth. And it says, a 6-week-old murder investigation in Habersham County may not have been murder after all. Sources close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as a result of an accident or suicide. We may live in a world where we never know for sure, the source says. Wow, like I was not expecting that tonight. Let's bring in our guest, try to make some sense of this. Joining me tonight in Clarksville, Georgia, reporter and publisher for NowHabersham.com, where we got that information. Joey Purcell is with us. In Jacksonville, Alabama, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, former senior investigator for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, and the host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan with us. And in Los Angeles, California, retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Great to see everyone. Joy, let me start with you. This, I was not expecting this. I don't know if anyone was. So this now, we don't even know if we're looking at a murder at this point. Is that what you're hearing?
That is what I'm hearing, Vinnie. Of course, we have not received the autopsy report. We still don't know the official cause and manner of death. There are still a lot of unanswered questions in this investigation. But at this point, having spoken to several sources very close to this investigation, it appears that this may be something other than what we have all suspected and been told by law enforcement from the beginning, which is that this is a murder investigation.
All right, Joseph Scott Morgan, you've been at way too many death scenes, right? But I want you to take a look at this. This is from the Habersham County Sheriff's Office. Let's remind everyone about the scene here of Debbie's death. Habersham County Sheriff's Office K-9 unit responded to the scene and initiated a search. The search resulted in locating a red tote bag, partially burnt blue tarp, and eventually the victim's partially nude and burnt body grasping a small tree down a ravine. The victim was deceased. Joseph Scott Morgan, remembering that and now understanding that this investigation is taking an unexpected turn, how do we make sense of this? What's going on?
Well, you know, the problem is that we still are absent an autopsy report and a tox report at this time. And Vinnie, it's not like this was done in a vacuum. You know, they were both done, both of these tests, well, the examination and the testing are both done by the GBI. It's literally one section is across the building complex from the other. So it's not like these two are not communicating with one another. I don't understand what the, you know, kind of what the holdup is relative to this. The police are obviously exploring, you know, because they're kind of the gatekeeper here relative to any further information that's going to come out. And I think that they're exhausting everything they have. What's very interesting to me, Ben, is that now they have an arson investigator in this case, and the clothing that was found at the scene, they did detect the presence of accelerant there. And, you know, the shirt, I think, which we've talked about at length, and that's something that can specifically be kind of sussed out in all of this. And one of the things we're going to be looking for when that autopsy report comes out, two things. First off, we're going to hear about her lungs. Is this something, did she inhalate anything? And generally with fire-related deaths, you'll have soot in the airway and down into the lungs. And secondly, they're going to run a test called a carboxyhemoglobin level. And essentially what they're looking for is carbon monoxide in her system. And that is kind of a derivative of a fire burning, and you're inhalating that along with the debris. So that's going to be real critical as well. And those tests are easily done. It should be turned around pretty quickly. I mean, we've already got the arson results back. So we're just kind of sitting back and waiting right now, Ben.
Bobby Chacon, you've got the video of her 15 minutes away. It takes her 45 minutes to get there, but 15 minutes away at the Family Dollar store. We've got this cryptic message that she sent. They won't let me go. She sends money to her daughter after she exits the store while she's in the parking lot there. I can't put these pieces together.
Yeah, they don't seem to fit, right? I mean, that's the problem here. They don't seem to fit. They take you in different directions, right? Is it an accident? Is it a suicide? I would almost set up two investigative teams, one to follow the narrative of a possible accident and the other the possible suicide. And obviously those two teams would look at this from different angles, and you see what physical evidence supports each one of those, and then you move down those roads. There's also reporting that initially there was not a gas can, but then they went back and they found remnants of a gas can under where that burned car was. So, it's highly unusual for a woman to commit suicide by burning themselves, by setting themselves on fire. When you see the statistics on suicide, that is one of the fewest ever that take place. Setting themselves on fire, anybody, but especially among women, it's not a common way to do it. So you factor all of those things in. It looks like she might have, the fire started in the car and then she was able to get out of the car. When people are on fire, they tend to run, which unfortunately doesn't help. We always say the drop and roll to put out the fires. You're running, you're actually feeding the fire. So if she was running towards that ravine and grabbed it as she was burning, we don't know, but I would set up two different investigative teams to look at both of those and kind of do it separate and see where those things lead. Of course, we're not going to know until, all of this comes out. And as Vinnie, I'm loath to make investigative information available publicly because oftentimes it seems like the investigation's going in a lot of different ways, and it is. We don't have a narrative. Later on in a trial, you'll hear the narrative, but in the early stages of an investigation, we have to go in every different direction that it takes us. So sometimes it looks disheveled, but that's the nature of the process. And so we have to kind of follow all these things. That's why you heard 2 weeks ago that this may have been a murder investigation, and now you're hearing it's something else, because different things develop early in the early stages of an investigation. Doesn't mean they're not doing their job, doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. It just means that these things are a mystery, and you have to suss out each one as it comes up. We know certain things, Doc is really good at, as doing the science of it, but then there's the other things of it. I would be investigating whether she had any mental health issues in the past. Did she see a counselor, a therapist? Because that cryptic message, I'm not saying that she heard voices. I'm saying she's referring to somebody when she says they won't let me go. Who is the they that she's referring to? And did she ever have issues like that in the past?
Big part of all this. All right, our guests are staying with us. We're going to talk more about this when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, my name is Amanda Bearden, and I filed a missing persons report on my mother last night. Okay. Yesterday, excuse me, and I was just wondering if maybe I could speak with the detective that's been assigned to her case.
Do you have any further information?
I sure do. Do you want the case number?
I give you the case number so I can look it up that way.
That's Debbie Collier's daughter calling 911 with some additional information after they reported her missing. This is before her mom was found. How about the family? Let's bring back in our guest, Joy Purcell, publisher, reporter, now Habersham.com. Please check it out, folks. A lot of information about this case. Joseph Scott Morgan with us and Bobby Chacon. Joy, how about the family members? Have they all sort of been accounted for that day? Do investigators know what they were doing, where they were, et cetera? Do we know?
Well, it's our understanding that the local investigators have pulled back from their investigation of the family members, of course, because Amanda Bearden received the Venmo payment that was attached to that cryptic message. There was a lot of question about her and any potential involvement because of the money that she received. This family has undergone a lot of scrutiny, a lot of intense scrutiny. It's been a very challenging situation for them beyond the loss of their wife, their mother, their grandmother. They're having to undergo the suspicions that have been cast on them. But as I said, it is my understanding, again, speaking through those close to the investigation or with those close to the investigation, that they're pulling back from looking at the family members as potential persons of interest or suspects in this case. There's a key development that has happened since we last spoke, Vinnie, and there was a question as to the timing of this all. Investigators had narrowed the timeline of when they knew that Debbie Collier was alive to between 2:55 p.m. on September 10th and then 3:19 p.m. during those moments when she was seen on surveillance in the Family Dollar store. It was at 3:17 p.m. that Amanda Bearden received the Venmo payment with that chilling message, "They're not going to let me go." We have learned, again, our sources are telling us that through subpoenaed phone records, they have determined that that message was sent from the parking lot of the Family Dollar store in Clayton, Georgia, which is where they know Debbie Collier was up until 3:19 p.m. Apparently, there was also another text message sent from her phone, a simple "I love you" to her son, which didn't go through, but was recovered when they got the records. And then at 3:19 p.m., she exits the parking lot, her phone goes silent, and approximately 22 hours later, she was found dead in the woods about 12 miles away.
All right, we have about a minute left. Based on this information, Joseph Scott Morgan, what does it have you thinking right now?
Well, again, my default position is always return back to the science. I want to see the autopsy report. I want to know how extensive her injuries are. It's been very vague relative to, they had a focal area of burning they keep referring to in the abdomen. And again, back to what Bobby was saying about self-immolation, it's one of the rarest forms of suicide that exists. I think I may have handled 3 in my entire career. And generally there was a severe psychotic break that had taken place relative to that. And that would mean that gas would be all over the body, the accelerant would be. So for me, I'm waiting for the records.
All right, we are out of time for tonight, but thank you all so much. Joy Purcell, now Habersham.com, Joseph Scott Morgan down there at Jacksonville State University, Bobby Chacon, former FBI special agent, screenwriter and attorney. He does it all. Thank you all so much. We'll see you again really, really soon.